Meu nome é Felipe, sou fundador da reNature, uma fundação holandesa que trabalha com agrofloresta pelo mundo afora. E também sou parceiro da Farm, que trabalha com fibras regenerativas para a indústria da moda. Mas hoje eu não vou falar nem da reNature e nem da Farm. Eu vou contar uma história. Mas essa história vai ser em inglês. Então, para aqueles que têm mais dificuldade para entender, podem botar o microfone. My mom is a freak nature passionate. She's always hugging those trees. While my dad, he's a banker, a businessman, always wearing his suits. When these two opposites come together and start collaborating, amazing things can come out of it. And well, I myself, I'm a perfect example of this fact. So that's why I was convinced that business and nature don't have to be just opposites. But if they start collaborating, great things can happen. And I'll show you what I mean. When I was 18 years old, I decided to drive with a friend to the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. During our journey, we realized how rich and abundant our nature really is. When we arrived in the Amazon, we spent a few days with indigenous and local communities. We learned how they live, how they make their clothes, and also how they source their food. I was touched by their knowledge on how to manage the forest resources, and amazed by the intelligence and resourcefulness of nature itself. But when we drove back home, we saw a massive deforestation in the borders of the Amazon. Thousands of hectares of destroyed rainforest, mostly from conventional agriculture. The sight of those trees falling down to grow one single crop scared the hell out of me. I saw firsthand how we are killing our planet. Since then, I committed myself to take action and find a sustainable solution to this global challenge. My first step, dive into sustainable agriculture. And that's how I met my admirable teacher, Ernst Gitsch, a Swiss farmer and scientist who grows cocoa in the Brazilian tropical forest. When I arrived at Ernst's farm, I grabbed my tools and my machete, ready to rock and roll, and I asked Ernst, "What can I do, sir?" Ernst looks at me in amusement and replies, "First, you observe." By now, I feel like Luke Skywalker getting his first lesson from Master Yoda. So I grabbed my tools and started walking through the fields, observing the cocoa forest. Seeing all these fruits, all these different plants working together, the soil looks all moist. It's got a clay feel to it. It makes it even want to take a bite out of it. The sound of the water running through the rivers, the monkeys screaming at each other, the birds singing, and the bees zooming. The abundance. It feels like paradise. A real rainforest that grows the best and the most expensive cocoa of the world. So when I thought I had seen everything, I came back to Ernst asking again, "Ernst, what can I do now, sir?" Ernst looks at me and said, "Now you go to see our neighbor's cocoa farm." So to walk into the neighbor's cocoa farm, I would like to make a little experiment with you to give you a feeling of what happened. I will divide all of you guys into 3 groups. Group number 1, you guys on the left of this balcony, you guys will be our trees, representing the forest. And you guys will be making the sound, choo, 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 choo. Okay, let's give it a try. Come on, guys, we need more trees in this. Where's the forest here? Perfect. All right. Group number 2, you guys on the right side of this balcony, you guys will be our bees, representing biodiversity. And you guys will be making the sound zzz. Let's give it a try. Where are the bees? Where are the bees? Perfect. Great. Group number 3, you guys in the middle of the balcony, you guys will be our consumers and fashion companies, representing us humans. And you guys will be making the sound, oh. Okay, let's give it a try. Come on, more. Perfect, great. So now, when I point to your group number and make this signal, your group goes silent. But pay attention to my signals. In the count of 3, you're gonna start making your group noise. In 1, 2, 3. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. By this time I arrived at the neighbor's cocoa farm, the world gone silent. This conventional monoculture farm was all dried out. No shade, no sound of water, the soil cracked open. I couldn't hear any birds, bees, or monkeys. Within a couple of 100 meters away, the road had gone from the sound of paradise to the silence of despair. By this time I realized if we keep going the neighbor's path, the planet will go silent. Now, it's easy to blame industries and farmers from deforesting, and they do have a responsibility. But we, as consumers, have a big part to play as well. All our actions have consequences. Everything we buy has an impact on an ecosystem somewhere. You buy a jacket, chances are that you're contributing to a series of interconnected events, like deforestation, loss of biodiversity, climate change, food insecurity, refugees fleeing from their own countries because of political instability. And that is because right now, business and nature are often in conflict. Nature is perceived to be in the way of business. And that is a problem, a big one. Now, it's in our own interest to come up with a solid solution. A solution that can support the economy and strengthens the ecosystem. So you might be asking, is that really possible? And I can tell you, yes, it is. And it's called regenerative agroforestry. Regenerative agroforestry is a form of preserving the forest and still produce any kind of food and fibers for both the food and fashion industry. Agroforestry has several benefits. In specific commodities, it has even higher yields. It retains more water in the soil, therefore less use of irrigation. It increases biodiversity, therefore zero use of pesticides. And it sequesters 12 more tons of carbon per hectare per year than conventional farms. Therefore, you can help to reverse climate change. So you might be asking, why is this agroforestry thing not mainstream then? Well, it starts by speaking up as consumers. Why not start now? Let's show the world that we here at real ethical fashion will not allow the planet to go silent. So all in favor of a more regenerative way to grow our fibers for the fashion industry, make your group noise one more time. And make it as loud as possible. 1, 2, 3. More, guys, come on. Let's go. Perfect. Thank you, guys. So now I would like to invite Haroldo, Torres, to please facilitate the next panel on circular economy.
Eu sou Haroldo Torres, eu trabalho na Dínamo. A Dínamo é uma empresa que apoia e investe em negócios com impacto social positivo. A gente tem feito isso já há bastante tempo em São Paulo e estamos à disposição de empreendedores e investidores que estão interessados nesse campo. Eu vou mudar para o inglês, mas é um prazer ter todos aqui. I'm going to call Brittany and François. As Felipe, François, Felipe, and Brittany, they are three fantastic entrepreneurs working in the field of circular economy, and they are helping to transform our country and our planet in many different ways. What I would like to say is that sustainability is a key issue of our times. We have many climate deniers in power right now. They are making a lot of noise but they cannot deny the fact that this very place here is going to be down the water in 50 years from now. It's a scientific fact, and we have technology that very fast, and it's quite central for our times. I'm going to make a very specific question for this group, which is, how can we really make a difference? How can we scale up the solutions we are presenting, we are discussing right now, and how can we make difference for very poor people as well, people who needs to buy a shirt with $5 because they don't have money for more than that. So if you are able to reach this kind of consumer, that's the way ahead to make a lot of difference. So I'm going to first call Brittany. Thank you very much for coming from Holland here, Brittany, Netherlands, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me here. So I'm here to tell you guys a bit about what Fashion for Good is doing to help scale innovators. So Fashion for Good is something that started in 2017. We were created out of the thought that, you have these incredible innovators out there doing things to really move the industry forward and test new ideas and new ways of working. At the same time, to make those innovators successful, they need access to funding, they need customers, they need brands to partner with. On the other side of that equation, you have these big brands that are really interested in engaging in innovation, but maybe are a bit hesitant or don't necessarily have the in-house knowledge to do the due diligence required to truly understand the innovator's solutions. So Fashion for Good was born to create a bridge between those two worlds. So we do this through a variety of different things. So we have an accelerator program that runs twice a year. We have a scaling program that offers more bespoke support to do just that, to help our innovators scale and unlock opportunities for them to take their businesses to the next level. And we have a good fashion fund. It's really, really interesting because if you think about the way that the fashion value chain breaks down, we see innovators in all the different pockets, starting from raw materials to cut, make, trim, to new business models, to recycling, to some overarching themes such as transparency and traceability, which is a big topic we've talked about here today, as well as water management. So what we do is we've sourced over 1,500 innovators within these different pockets of the fashion value chain and worked with them to kind of bring them into contact, into collaboration with our brand partners. And on the flip side, we provide a really amazing opportunity for our brand partners to come together in a pre-competitive space. So we talk about this industry is huge. And to make the changes that are needed, it's going to take a lot of work. And it's not something that just any brand can go at it alone. So we really believe in the power of a pre-competitive convening to align, to mitigate some of the risk, to share the knowledge and learnings, and then to also help catalyze our innovators forward. I think it's probably important to reflect that while Fashion for Good is still young, we're only 2.5 years old. We have over 13 brand partners, brand and manufacturing partners on board. We often refer to it as this perfect constellation. Or even triangle is a way to think of it. So you have your innovator at the top, you have your brand here, and you have your manufacturer. And it takes all three of them working together in harmony to really drive the solutions and to scale them. So over the past 2.5 years, we've seen over 1,500 innovators, 70 of which have come through our program. We have 13 brand partners. We've hosted over 600 deal flow sessions between those 70 innovators and 13 brand partners. And we've seen over 10 pilots get up and running. So another thing that's really important to know, that to drive the industry forward, to make these changes, it takes a lot of time. Again, we're only 2.5 years old, and we want to go faster and faster, but it just takes some time to do these things. And we're really excited about a lot of the pilot projects we've been doing. Yeah, I think that's a good introduction for
Maybe you
Fashion
can
for Good.
talk a little bit about what you're doing in India, because I think it's so important for Brazil to learn more about that.
Sure. So we're headquartered in Amsterdam right now, but we have many global brands on our platform, such as Stella McCartney, PVH, Adidas, Bestseller, CNA, of course. The list, there's 13 of them. But what we've really found that to drive our innovations forward and to really help our innovators set up for success, we need to get them together with manufacturers. So we're doing this in two ways. One, we're getting a very local presence on the ground in India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. So we're figuring out the best ways to engage with the local-minded, multi-stakeholder organizations that are already present, already active in that ecosystem, and figuring out how Fashion for Good can help best support them, driving their mission even further, and also how we can help innovators scale, as spoken previously. The other thing I think is really important to mention is we have our Good Fashion Fund, which is closing its first round coming up. And what that's meant to do is to catalyze investments in India, Bangladesh, and Vietnam, and that provides favorable financing for manufacturers so that they have the capacity, the financial capacity, to take on the risk and try out some of our innovators' solutions. Because a lot of these solutions, it's very different than technology, right? You just need a computer and to be able to code. A lot of the solutions that we see across the fashion value chain require time, heavy capital expenditures, you know, and also just the ability to implement in a remote place or far away from where they may be based. So what we're really trying to do is build this local presence to drive this forward. And we look forward to also engaging with you all here and learning a bit more about what's going on and how we can best support and share some of the learnings that we've had, but then also learn and really get to understand what's going on here. So it's a great opportunity to be here today, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Brittany. It's wonderful to see someone inspiring a lot of people all over the world with this wonderful project. Thank you very much. And I'm going to give the word to François. François has been mentioned this morning with a wonderful word related to these rubber trappers in Acre in Brazil, which is amazing. So I would like to hear more about that and also to learn how can we scale that? How can we make it grow and grow faster?
Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here. It's a bit strange for me to speak in English in Rio de Janeiro, but porque eu falo português, talvez possa falar em português. Então, eu fiquei muito surpreso de ser chamado numa mesa redonda sobre a economia circular, porque nós montamos a nossa empresa há 15 anos com uma ideia, uma inspiração que é bem parecida com a do Felipe, que foi uma viagem para a floresta amazônica, e depois de uma muito curta carreira no mundo financeiro, a gente teve, então, que é uma revelação que a gente estava trabalhando, destruindo o mundo, literalmente. A gente teve o choque de conhecer a Amazônia, e, na época, não conhecemos a destruição, como você, mas um projeto de regeneração através de um projeto de comércio justo. E foi esse exato momento que tivemos a inspiração de aplicar esse modelo de comércio justo, de um comércio que respeita o ser humano que está colhendo, no caso nosso, a borracha, cortando todos os intermediários para poder ter um valor bem maior para ele, e aplicar isso num produto de consumo, num produto de moda, num produto que a gente gosta, porque senão a gente teria escolhido um outro, né? Então, que são os tênis. Então, foi assim que começou e continuou, e a gente tem hoje uma cadeia produtiva da borracha, depois eu vou contar um pouco mais sobre ela, uma cadeia produtiva do algodão, em parceria com pessoas que estão aqui, do Instituto CA, inclusive, que estão fazendo um trabalho incrível no Nordeste do Brasil. Mas, em termos de economia circular, realmente, a gente não faz um trabalho muito interessante por enquanto. Então, eu fiquei um pouco surpreso de ser chamado para falar de uma coisa que não é nosso forte. Assim. A gente usa materiais reciclados na nossa fabricação, como o poliéster reciclado, mas para nós não é, por enquanto, uma coisa de orgulho, porque, não sei se vocês sabem, mas essa questão do poliéster reciclado, ele quebra um ciclo, né, de reciclagem, porque uma garrafa PET pode se tornar uma garrafa PET, se ela é reciclada devidamente, mas uma vez que ela se tornou uma peça de roupa ou um tênis, ela quebra a reciclagem, ela não pode ser mais reciclada. Então, temos que tomar uns cuidados, né? E eu digo isso, a gente usa esse tipo de material, então não estou assim atirando meu próprio pé, eu acho que eu estou sendo um pouco transparente para que não se confunde tudo. E a gente hoje está trabalhando sobre essa questão da economia circular, que quer dizer, para nós é o fim de vida de um produto, né? Mas não temos nada ainda para falar sobre isso, porque a gente tem o costume de só falar de coisas que a gente já fez e não de projetos, porque senão são promessas, que nem os políticos que vivem falando de promessas, né? Então, voltando, então, a economia circular não é o nosso forte, mas aí como eu fiquei surpreso, não, mas por que me chamaram para falar de economia circular? Será que tem alguma coisa que eu não sabia dentro da minha empresa, um projeto, alguma coisa? E, na verdade, me fez refletir muito sobre esse conceito de economia circular. Eu tive a chance de escutar uma palestra de alguém da Fundação Ellen MacArthur Foundation, e que apresentava justamente duas maneiras de pensar o mundo. A maneira linear, que é uma maneira de eu vou pegar um recurso na natureza, eu vou extrair ela na natureza, eu vou produzir alguma coisa e depois eu vou deixar essa coisa lá, jogar fora, né? É o que, basicamente, estamos fazendo já há uns 100 anos depois do início da Revolução Industrial. E tem uma maneira circular, que é de pensar que eu estou pegando um recurso, mas ele tem que voltar, de uma certa maneira, de um sistema, porque a Terra é redonda, ela não tem uma lixeira assim, para fora. Então, você tem que, de uma certa maneira, regenerar tudo que está dentro dela. Então, aí comecei a viajar um pouco nessa questão. E, na verdade, eu acho que tem aí olhando assim essa maneira de olhar o mundo, acho que tem também uma questão de não olhar o mundo só como um recurso, só como, por exemplo, se você olhar uma floresta com o olhar de é uma reserva de madeira, é uma reserva de borracha, aí você está olhando de um jeito que, na verdade, é um jeito industrial de olhar o mundo. O que eu poderia fazer com essa floresta? Mas tem um outro olhar sobre a floresta. E a Bia, aqui presente, poderia contar muito melhor do que eu como os povos indígenas estão olhando a floresta. Eles não estão olhando o recurso a ser usado para tal coisa. Elas não estão olhando a floresta como uma ferramenta para alguma coisa. Eles estão olhando a floresta como um ser que faz parte do nosso sistema. Lembra aquela terra, né? Redonda, que não tem lixeira, que você não vai conseguir pegar e depois jogar fora. Então, esse tipo de reflexão de se sentir parte de... Eu acho que essa questão da economia circular, além de reciclar o plástico, porque também não somos bobos, né? Quem incentiva muito hoje essa economia circular é a própria Coca-Cola. São essas empresas que vivem produzindo lixo. Então, óbvio que eles adoram esse conceito. Então, eu fico um certo pé atrás, mas eu acho que o interessante nisso é começar a olhar o mundo de uma maneira diferente. Então, voltando aos povos indígenas, olhar a floresta não só como um recurso, mas como um ser, como um lugar de habitação, de cultivo, de cultura, de religião. Enfim, eu acho que se a gente pensar, podemos olhar o nosso mundo como os índios olham para a floresta, né? Enfim, me perdi um pouco, mas... E, no fim, acabei falando nada sobre a cadeia da borracha.
Não precisa ter um pensamento linear. Você pode ter um pensamento circular. Eu vou voltar para o inglês, gente, porque é o meu briefing aqui, eu vou seguir disciplinadamente.
Desculpa.
Let's go back to English. Felipe is also bringing a very inspiring way of thinking about this issue. And his briefing here is to talk about Farm, which he have not really talked about very much in this first speech. And it is a company that's provoking us to think about materials, which is a key dimension of this whole debate on circular economy. So, Felipe, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Haroldo. First of all, I'm really have an honor here to be in this panel. First of all, because we are accelerated by Fashion for Good in Amsterdam with Farm. And also, I wear basically VEJA every day of my life. And it's interesting because when I was in Paris visiting François, I was walking the streets, and every time I see someone wearing VEJA shoes, I always go to that person and say, "Congratulations for wearing VEJA." And then the friend of the person is asking her, like her friend, like, "Why is he congratulating you?" And she says, "Oh, because it's the same sustainable shoes." So it's very important to make sexy and attractive for people to start wearing sustainable clothes. So that's what I always do every time I see it. But anyway, so yeah, we are based in Amsterdam, and most of the work that we have been doing, if you talk about circular economy, most of the fashion industry is looking really in the end of the chain to solve the challenges, environmental and social. So I think there's a lot of things that happens in supply chain that the more distant you get, the more disconnected you get from the ground, which is the soil. And the soil is actually the root cause and the bottleneck of most of challenges we actually face today. We have 1.9 billion of hectares degraded in the world. Why? Because major industries, they are planting their major commodities, and then they degrade the soil and they go find somewhere else to plant their major commodities. So if we start looking at the soil as a rich resource for us to start regenerating and use that for also reversing climate change, mainly because of the amount of carbon that you can sequester and as well as amount of richness of raw materials that you can get, is how you can really bring abundance of resources. Because what we're doing now, we are creating a fear-based culture. We are saying we shouldn't fly, we shouldn't have kids. And instead of having an abundant mindset, that we actually should work hard to have more resources for people to start using it, so that we can have prosperity as society. So the work we're doing in Farm is in the Amazon. We're planting a regenerative agroforestry with the local communities, so that we can diversify the natural fibers consortium design, where we can start doing prototype farms to test how does these fibers behave next to each other. So we're planting cotton, jute, malva, and banana, pineapple, basically to really see how we can actually diversify our agricultural landscapes for the fashion industry, but also see what is the economical benefits. So we are also measuring how much kilograms you can harvest per hectare per year, so that you can really see also that it's economically viable to make this transitioning from conventional to regenerative. Not only organic, because organic is still dependent on external inputs with manure, and regenerative is actually planting your own resources. So we plant trees which fulfill the needs of the fibers, with the cotton, for instance. So regenerative is really a way to bring the healthy soil for future generations, and still be able to generate profits from the fashion with the fibers that you can extract with the local communities. And every single design we make, we take 3 elements in consideration. First one is the food security. So every time we go to these local communities, we talk to them and hear what are their needs and challenges. Because sometimes they don't even eat from their own land. The work we do in Indonesia, the farmers, they're planting palm oil, and they have to always eat industrialized food from somewhere else. So they get sick, and their kids don't want to farm anymore, so they just go to the tourism sector. So what we're doing, we always take the food security element in consideration, the first one. So we plant species which the farmers, they can eat from it. So we always sit with them and say, hey, what do you like to eat? They say, I like to eat pineapple, I like to eat mangosteen, I like to eat mango. So we always put that into the design. And then the second element is the cash crop. So the fiber that actually goes to the market. So for example, cotton or banana, doesn't matter. But it's really like the one that is the revenue that it creates for the design. And then the third element is the last one, is the educational species. So for example, which are the species of that ecosystem that is causing most deforestation? So if you look into Indonesia with palm oil, or Brazil with soybean, we actually plant that species into design So we can actually show that it's possible to do more sustainably, and it's also economically viable to do it. So we're doing this in the Amazon, in the region of Santa Barbara, in the Pará. And yeah, whoever is interested to come and get your hands dirty in the soil, you're all welcome to come.
I am going.
I guess we still have 7 minutes. I'm going to let you make one very last comment. First, I'll give the floor for François. He haven't really talked about rubber, you know, which is the first reason we have brought him here. So please, tell us about that.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I really wanted, I was so surprised of the circular economy thing that I wanted to comment about it. But yeah, rubber is a very good example. It's even more than an example of what, how we see, for us it's a normal way of doing business. So we have a shoe production, we need a rubber for our soles. We have options. We could use recycled rubber from tires. If we want to be sustainable, we could use also a planted rubber from São Paulo, but we choose a much more complicated path, that is to work with wild rubber from the Amazon forest. So thanks to Bia Saldanha, who spoke this morning, we have constructed a very strong relationship with some communities, we mean people. So, no, because sometimes communities you don't really know. No, there are people, there are families, they have homes, they receive us in their homes, and we have dinner with them, and then we sleep in their homes, and we wake up, and so we share a bit of their lives. And we try to build a relationship that is not only economical, but economic is the fundamental of this exchange. And we've started, I mean, very small, and this was part of your question about scalability. And I always answer, there is no scalability, it's just life. You go and you grow, and it's not like, you know, you don't learn to run before you learn to walk. So, and then you can walk a bit faster, and maybe one day you can run. But I mean, it's step by step. And so we started a relationship with a couple of families, and then we grew as a brand. We started to sell more shoes, to be more structured, to be able to go to sell outside of France. So now we sell everywhere in the world. Our first market is actually the United States, and then England, and then France, and Brazil comes number 5, so not bad. And yeah, back to the rubber. We are buying the rubber respecting fair trade principles. But what does that mean? It means that we are paying. We are setting a price in advance. And as Bia said this morning, it's not what could we pay, what is the minimum to be called fair trade? No, it's what in our business allows us to pay the maximum for this product. And this product is not a commodity. The product is wild rubber. It is a very special product. It cannot be sold on any international market like this, traded and exchanged. No, it is a product that comes from a place, like a good wine has an appellation d'origine contrôlée, and it has something related to the soil. The rubber that we buy is special from this region of the world and has all the culture I was talking about is also inside. And so how do we do to price this? We separate the price for the rubber. It has to be a good price so that the families can have a good life. And then we add something else. This is something new, and Bia had the idea because she studied economics recently, and I think it changed some things in her mind. And she had the idea to add something on top that is a service. Because these people, we can see them only as seringueiros, but they are people, and they are living and protecting the Amazon forest. And we believe they need to receive money for this, not only for their production, but also for their protection. So, you know, it's also the way you see the forest. If you see the forest only as a resource for production, or also as a place that needs to be preserved. And we believe in our world, it's the money that, I don't know if it's luckily or unluckily, but the money controls this. So it has to reflect somewhere in the price. And so that's why we pay, we started paying from last year, and I hope we're gonna continue and pay even more each year for the service for forest preservation.
You are definitely circular. I'm definitely circular. There's no other way of thinking about it. Last remarks, Brittany.
Sure. So I think the biggest takeaway is we're talking about all of this stuff. It really means a change to the system. And I think to make that possible, right, it takes a lot of action and a lot of coordination and a lot of collaboration between parties. But I think the biggest thing is just to have time and know that, you know, there's so many great solutions out there. It just takes some support across the supply chain to drive it home and really do something about it. So, yeah, big thing. We just need more time. Can we create time? That'd be great.
Thank you very much. Felipe?
Yeah, for me, like I would say that the partnership for the goal is really a key element for us to get where we aim at. This is to find like a cross-sector collaboration, which is not just limited to the fashion industry, but also to other industries, because sometimes in nature everything is diverse, everything is complex, and if we can actually design a healthy, sustainable agricultural system that it can produce all fibers for the fashion, but also like there's a lot of fibers that needs shade. So why not shade it with different species that goes for the aromatics industry or the food industry? So I think it's very important to create dialogues for us to find a way to collaborate and find synergy between our work, and that's the end. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, people, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Wonderful.